Hello and welcome! I finally got my new wood turning lathe all assembled and ready to run. Now it's not a brand new lathe, it's a second hand lathe, but it's new to me. So in today's video I'm going to try and keep things quite short, and we'll just take a look at my new lathe and the few bits and pieces I also got with it. Now it's a record power coronet lathe, and they made three versions of the coronet, a 1, 2 and a 3, and this was the first one. This is a coronet 1, and I know it's a 1 because I was very lucky to also get the paperwork that came with this original lathe. So it's only 4 pages, but it's very clear and gives all the information I could possibly want to go with this lathe. Now for me, although it's a 36-inch bed on this lathe, my workbench won't fit 36 inches. Oh, if I push this out of the way, oh, it can't. There we go. But because the lathe is assembled from individual parts, I'm able to set it up so I've got a slightly shorter workspace in the middle between my centres. But for now, that is plenty long enough for me. If I get myself out of here, sneaked in round the back. So I've set it up on my original bench, and I've still laid it on the piece of ruggy carpet that I used to use before, just to help cushion any vibration and noise. What did surprise me as a very novice and new to wood turning is the 2 metal bars that make up the main bed of the lathe are actually solid metal all the way through to the core. And I had expected, even having seen lots of pictures in the past, that these 2 metal bars in the centre were going to be hollow tubes. Very strong, thick, solid hollow tubes, but hollow nonetheless. And they're not, they're solid metal, which makes them really heavy, and that's a good thing. As my lathe is second hand, you expect the odd problem here or there, but the only problem I found so far was the emergency stop button for this lathe had a nail driven into the side of it. I have no idea why, and apparently it still worked. And I did test it, it seemed to work, but I wasn't prepared to trust it. So I bought a new emergency stop. And I managed to find just the stop button. I didn't need the whole control box. I was able to replace just the emergency stop. So now we're all fully functioning. Oh, I'll switch it on just so you can hear how it sounds. It's a lot quieter than my other lathe was. So with no sound editing, here's my new lathe. So yes, it's a little noisy, but it's a lot quieter than my Parkside is. For anyone that's not been here before, I started my lathe turning journey on a cheapy little Parkside lathe, and it's been great. Even though it has horrendous reviews, I've managed to get along with it just fine. Maybe once I've been using this for a while, I might look back at it and realise how shockingly horrendous it was. But for now, I'm not getting rid of it, it's still here. I was very fortunate, and my new lathe came with a wood chuck. I don't know what make or model of chuck this is. I know it's got a closed back, which usually means they're a bit more expensive. I already own a record power SC3 wood chuck, and this is the wood chuck that came with my new lathe. So they're pretty comparable in size. I'd say not much difference at all, millimetres if that. The wood chuck I already have is a 1-inch 8 TPI thread. but the thread on my new lathe is a 3/4 inch, 16 threads per inch. I had a thread adapter made for the Parkside lathe because it was such an unusual thread size, but the 3/4 16 threads per inch is a standard used thread and easy to get adapters for. So I bought an adapter for my new lathe, so I'll be able to use my old woodchucks on it as well. Well, they're not old, they're a lot newer than the lathe is. Now, I actually ended up buying 2 thread adapters. First of all, I bought a Rutland's thread adapter, which fits beautifully on both the lathe and into my woodchuck. But when it arrived, I was surprised to see how short this thread actually is. The previous thread adapter I had on my old Parkside lathe is a good inch long, if not a little bit longer. So I had another search around the internet and came across a charmwood adapter, and the charmwood does have that longer thread insert, so I have a charmwood as well. They both fit, they both thread into my old woodchucks and onto the new lathe, but as you see, there's quite a difference in thread length that goes into the woodchuck. I'm happier with this black one, though I suspect I'll end up using them both interchangeably depending what I'm making. And I have 2 woodchucks with a 1 inch 8 TPI thread, so it would be quite nice to have one with each. Maybe I'll use my short thread on my smaller woodchuck, it's not quite so heavy. They are both the same price. The Rutland's came in a big box and is a little short thread, and the charmwood that comes in the little box has actually got a longer thread on it. As it's a second-hand lathe and comes with some extra goodies, I've already mentioned I've got a woodchuck. It also has a 4 inch faceplate, which is marked up as record power. So I'm assuming this is the original that came with the lathe. It has a piece of what looks like cardboard secured to the front of it. I'm not at all sure why, and it's certainly not coming off. It's really well fixed on there. I don't know what it's fixed on with, but it's not doing any harm, so it can stay. Somebody's been having fun at some point, and I have these 2 discs of metal that have had a nut welded onto the back. These fit the original thread of the lathe. One has got a piece of sandpaper securely glued onto the front of it. The sandpaper is pretty worn, still has some texture though. So I'll need to, if I'm going to use it, I'll need to replace this with something. I don't know what or how. And the second one has a fluffy woolly pad on the front to give things a really shiny, polishy finish. So I'm not sure I'll use them, but they're here, so I might do. And another personal adaptation is this 12 inch faceplate. So it's a big thick chunk of wood. And this, I think, is the original screw plate that fits into this woodchuck. It certainly fits the chuck, it grabs it nicely. And this is the maximum 12 inch diameter I can fit onto my lathe. So this should give me a decent sized bowl or plate. Another piece that fits onto the headstock of this lathe is this threaded screw. You can screw a piece of wood into it and use that instead of the woodchuck. What else have I got? Anything much? There's also this drill head style piece that will fit into the tailstock. I push that out. a long bar to push out my tailstock. There we go. And this drill bit piece will fit in there as well, and can also be fitted into the headstock, depending what I'm using it for. So I'm not sure what I'm going to use that for yet. Never come across it before. But I'm very happy to have it with all my various bits and pieces. And lastly, a wood block with a wonderful selection of headstocks and tailstock pieces to fit this lathe, from tiny little pins that can be held in that drill, or actually also fit into here, another spinning piece, so they'll sit in there in a very nice storage block. It's a great idea. Big thick block of wood, holes drilled in it, so all your pieces can be stored inside. Perfect. Really good idea for the workshop. Let me fit back there. There. Oh, not quite lastly, I also got some more chisels. Where have they gone? There. Oh, oof. And I also have an array of extra chisels. Always useful, especially as I've got the bench grinder to sharpen things. So these will be great with the chisels I've already got. And this selection, I should have plenty to keep me busy for ages. So that's it for today. I'm going to end it there. We've had a quick look at all the exciting goodies I got along with my new lathe. And the next time I see you, we'll give it a spin and see what she can do. Or more to the point, we'll see what I can do. So bye for now, and we'll see you next time. And remember, whatever you're doing, have fun doing it.
If you've enjoyed today's video, click that like button and let me know. Click subscribe and YouTube will make sure you see my next video. Bye for now, and thanks for watching. And remember, whatever you're doing, have fun doing it.